Rain poured like the heavens themselves were crying that night. Thunder cracked through the skies, shaking the old wooden walls of a small, forgotten cabin at the edge of town. Inside, Daniel sat by the fire with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, wrapped in a thin blanket. The storm had knocked the power out hours ago, and the chill was creeping in fast. Money was tight, tighter than the worn boots Daniel had patched 3 times this winter. Life hadn't been kind since his wife passed away 2 years ago, leaving him to raise their little girl alone. Every day was a battle between survival and hope, and sometimes, even hope seemed too expensive to afford. But then, just as another flash of lightning tore the sky apart, there came a desperate knock at the door, loud, frantic, and trembling. Daniel froze. It was nearly midnight, and no one ever came this far out during a storm. He opened the door slowly, and standing there was a young woman soaked to the bone, holding the hand of a little girl no older than 5. Her eyes were wide with fear, her lips trembling from the cold. Before Daniel could say a word, the little girl clung to her leg, shivering. Without thinking, he stepped aside and said, "Come in, you'll catch your death out there." She hesitated only for a moment, then entered. The warmth of the fire lit her face, and for the first time Daniel noticed the faint shine of tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. Something about her posture, her fragile calm, made him realize this woman wasn't just cold. She was lost. Backhand index pointing. Right before we go deeper into this heart-touching story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Daniel handed her a towel and his old flannel shirt. She thanked him softly, her voice cracked and delicate. Her little girl, Emma, sat near Lily, staring at the fire with sleepy eyes. The storm outside raged on, but inside, there was an odd silence, a peace born of shared struggle. Daniel poured them both a cup of tea, apologizing that it wasn't much. He didn't ask questions. He could see enough in her eyes, exhaustion, fear, and something deeper, heartbreak. Hours later, when the storm finally calmed, the woman told him her name was Anna. She said their car had broken down miles back, and they'd been walking for hours before spotting his cabin light. She thanked him repeatedly for his kindness, promising to leave by morning. Daniel smiled faintly and said, "No rush. The world's cruel enough. It could use more people stopping to help each other." The night passed slowly. Daniel checked on them a few times. Emma was asleep on the couch beside Lily, their small hands touching, while Anna sat by the window staring at the rain, lost in thought. There was something haunted in her eyes, as if she carried a story too heavy to tell. By morning, the rain had stopped. The world outside was still and washed clean. Daniel offered them breakfast, just toast and eggs, but Anna looked at it like it was a feast. When she tried to offer him some money, he shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Just make sure your little girl's safe. That's all that matters." But as she watched him talk to Lily, as she saw the gentleness in his rough, tired hands, something inside Anna began to shift. For the first time in months, she felt safe. She felt seen. Anna and Emma ended up staying for a few days. Daniel helped fix her car, though he barely had tools for his own truck. They shared dinners together, simple meals, but filled with warmth and laughter. Lily adored Emma, and the two played as if they'd known each other forever. Anna helped around the house, cleaned the dishes, and even taught Lily to make paper flowers. Every evening, as the sun set behind the trees, Anna and Daniel would sit on the porch, quietly watching the sky. Over time, he noticed she'd sometimes flinch at the sound of her phone buzzing. She never answered it. Once, he saw her crying alone by the sink. She brushed it off, saying she was just tired. But Daniel had lived enough pain to recognize it, the kind of sorrow that comes from losing more than money could ever buy. One evening, as they were cleaning up after dinner, Anna said softly, "You must think I'm strange showing up here like this." Daniel smiled, shaking his head. "No, I just think you needed a place to breathe. We all do sometimes." A small tear escaped her eye as she whispered, "I haven't breathed freely in years." Days turned into a week. Daniel didn't ask her who she really was, though he sometimes wondered. Her mannerisms, her grace, they weren't from someone used to struggle. But it didn't matter to him. What mattered was that his little girl laughed again, that his home didn't feel so empty anymore. Then, one morning, everything changed as a black luxury car pulled up the muddy road to Daniel's cabin. Two men in suits stepped out, holding umbrellas. They asked if a woman named Anna was here. Daniel froze. His heart raced as Anna stepped out from behind him, her face pale and trembling. The men bowed slightly and said, "Miss, your father has been searching everywhere for you." Daniel looked at her in shock. She turned toward him, tears streaming down her face. "Daniel, I didn't tell you everything. My father is Richard Beaumont." The name hit like a thunderclap. Richard Beaumont, the billionaire real estate magnate whose face appeared on magazines and TV screens across the country. Daniel stood there speechless as the realization washed over him. The woman he'd offered shelter, the woman he'd fed with the last of his groceries, was the daughter of one of the richest men in America. "I didn't want anyone to know who I was," she said through tears. "After my husband died, I felt trapped by fame, by expectations, by everyone pretending to care. I just wanted to disappear for a while, to find something real." Daniel swallowed hard. "And did you?" She smiled weakly, her voice trembling. "Yes, I found kindness in the humblest place." Before leaving, she knelt down and hugged Lily tightly. "Thank you for sharing your toys with Emma. You have the biggest heart," she whispered. Then she turned to Daniel and took his rough hand in hers. "You reminded me that the world still has good people in it." A week later, Daniel received a letter in the mail. Inside was a note and a key. The note read, "Dear Daniel, you gave us shelter when you had little to spare. I can never repay your kindness, but I hope this helps. The key belongs to a new workshop in town, registered in your name. I know you dreamt of opening one. Please don't refuse it. Some kindnesses deserve to be multiplied." Anna tears blurred Daniel's vision as he read it again and again. He looked out at Lily playing in the yard, smiling under the sunlight. For the first time in years, he felt hope rising, not because of the gift, but because someone saw the worth in a poor man's kindness. Months later, Daniel's small workshop became the heart of the town, a place where he fixed things for free when people couldn't pay. On the wall, right above his workbench, hung a simple framed photo of that rainy night, the moment that changed everything. Beneath it, a quote read, "Kindness costs nothing, but changes everything."